Millions of ounces of silver are quietly leaving vaults, just as banks in whole countries suddenly stop selling it to normal people. Price screens still look calm, but the real-world signals, empty shelves, rising premiums, strange trading halts, say something very different. These are the same kinds of warning signs we saw before, past money shocks, when paper promises broke and hard metal rewrote the rules. Right now, a new pattern is forming in silver, and if it plays out, the chance to buy under $100 may not come back. This isn't hype. It's a trail of facts that points to one question. Why are big players locking you out of physical silver before the real move begins? Stay with me to the end, because once you see how the pieces fit, you'll never look at this market the same way again. If you want more investigations like this, hit subscribe, like this video to support the channel, and watch the full story on the $100 silver window is closing, and banks are banned from selling physical silver. Markets do not shout when something breaks. They whisper in numbers. One of those whispers is simple. 37.6 million ounces of silver left registered exchange vaults in just 47 days. That is the largest drain since 1980, when silver spiked toward $50 and the futures market almost failed. Back then, metal moved out of warehouses just before the price went vertical. Today, the same kind of outflow is back on the tape. On paper, silver still trades every second. Screens show prices moving a few cents up, a few cents down. But when you look at the data behind those prices, the story changes. Inventories marked registered, meaning ready for delivery, keep shrinking, while eligible metal, which cannot easily be claimed, stays higher. It is like standing at a gas station that shows full underground tanks, but only one working pump. Technically, there is fuel, but not enough that you can actually buy right now. Price behavior is sending the same warning. In normal times, futures prices sit above spot because storage and time have a cost. Lately, in key contracts, the opposite has appeared. Spot trading above futures. That structure, called backwardation, is a classic stress signal. It tells us people are paying more for metal they can hold today than for promises of metal in a few months. At the same time, dealers report higher premiums over spot just to ship real coins and bars. Some list items as delayed or out of stock, while the official price still looks calm. If supply is fine, why are retail buyers paying more and waiting longer, even before any headline crisis? Put together, vault drains, backwardation, and rising premiums look less like random noise and more like the early signs of true scarcity. They are the first cracks in a surface that still appears stable, hinting that the $100 silver window may be closer than the public thinks. History shows a simple pattern when metal and paper money collide. First, a metal is treated as money and backs trust in a currency. Then, more and more paper claims are built on top of a limited pile of that metal. Next, people start asking for the real metal back. Finally, the system changes the rules, and the price of the metal explodes while trust in paper falls. This pattern is not theory, it has already happened. In 1971, foreign governments began asking the United States to turn their dollars into physical gold, as the rules allowed. The US did not have enough gold to match all those claims. The gold window was closed, convertibility ended, and the link between paper and metal was quietly broken. Gold went from $35 an ounce to hundreds of dollars. Silver moved too, rising from near $1 to almost $50 within that broader cycle. It was like a bank locking its doors once too many depositors asked for their cash. In 1980, the pattern appeared inside the silver market itself. Large players, like the Hunt brothers, used heavy leverage to demand real silver from the futures exchange. Metal drained away, and the exchange responded by changing trading rules and raising margins. Prices first spiked, then crashed, while small traders and speculators were left confused. Today, we again see many claims on a tight metal supply, with vaults thinning and access rules starting to change in some countries. The irregular part is not that this is happening, but how global and fast it now looks. How many times can a system promise more metal than it has before confidence finally snaps? The answer to that question may decide how quickly the silver window slams shut. For most people, silver is a line on a screen, not a bar in a vault. Modern finance turned that line into a stack of claims. Futures contracts, ETFs, unallocated accounts, certificates. Each one says, in different language, we owe you silver later. The key question is how much real metal stands behind all those promises. On major exchanges, a single ounce sitting in a vault can support many paper contracts. One trader sells, another buys, and the same ounce can be spoken for several times. In calm markets, almost nobody asks for delivery, so this leverage looks safe. It is like an airline selling more tickets than seats, assuming not everyone will show up for the flight. The red flag appears when more passengers decide they want to board. In silver, that means more traders and industrial users choosing delivery instead of cash settlement. Public data already show that the amount of silver registered for delivery on key exchanges is small compared with the open interest that trades every day. Large ETFs report huge holdings, yet their documents say they can settle in cash if metal is tight. That is not the same as guaranteed access to bars. The structure worked for years because trust was high and demand for delivery was low. But with vaults draining and countries starting to restrict access, one question grows louder. What happens if too many holders of paper claims ask for the same limited pool of metal at the same time? When normal markets are stressed, individual traders move first. When the stress is deeper, nations move. In silver, those national moves have started. On February 14, 2025, 4 large South Korean banks stopped selling physical silver to the public. Not for a day, not for a week, but with no clear end date. These are institutions with strong global links. If they cannot or will not source metal for retail clients, it is a clear warning sign. China shows a similar shift. Authorities raise the risk level on precious metals, and many citizens can no longer buy easily through banks. At the same time, China has pushed for more metal to be held inside the country and has tightened export rules. It looks less like a free market and more like a government drawing a circle around key resources. Russia, a major raw materials player, has faced bans from London trading floors. Yet its metal still finds buyers through other routes. India, meanwhile, has quietly increased silver imports to record levels. For many Indian households, holding metal is a familiar way to protect savings when currency trust weakens. In past crises, such as during currency devaluations or gold controls, governments often acted to keep metal close and limit public access. It is like a captain locking life jackets in one room during a storm. The pattern repeats. When stress rises, leaders choose the state first, citizens second. The open question is how far these controls will spread. If more countries start to lock down silver, will ordinary savers be able to buy it all before prices jump? Or will they find the window already closed when they arrive? Silver is not just a store of value, it is also a key part of modern machines. Solar panels, smartphones, car electronics, medical tools, 5G towers, even some weapon systems all need silver because it conducts electricity so well. Each new device may use only a small amount, but millions of devices turn small amounts into huge demand. Mining, however, is not keeping up. Global silver output has been sliding since around 2016, while use in solar energy keeps rising. One study from the University of New South Wales warned that if trends continue, solar alone could eat most known silver reserves by 2050. It is like a hospital adding more and more patients who need oxygen, while the number of oxygen bottles in storage slowly falls. We have seen this kind of squeeze before. In the early 2000s, palladium shot up more than 200% when Russian supplies slowed and car makers scrambled for metal. Paper traders who thought they could always get delivery were caught off guard. The pattern is the same. A metal treated as just another input suddenly becomes strategic. Today's red flag is simple. Silver is pulled in 2 directions at once. Investors are trying to buy it as protection, while industries quietly need more for production. Governments are also stepping in, as earlier signals showed. The open question is who will be told no first when supply tightens further? Factories, savers, or both? That choice will shape how fast the $100 silver window appears. When a market under strain finally breaks, it rarely looks clean. It looks like a series of small technical issues that slowly reveal a deeper problem. In 1980, as silver surged, the main exchange suddenly changed its rules, blocked new buying, and raised margins. Officially, it was risk control. In practice, it was a way to slow a rush for real metal that the system could not fully deliver. We are seeing softer versions of that now. In late 2025, a major futures exchange briefly halted trading in metals, blaming a cooling failure. On paper, it was a hardware glitch. In context, with vaults draining and backwardation showing, it felt more like a warning. When prices move too fast or too far, the easiest lever is the off switch. If the stress grows, the next steps are predictable. Trading halts become more common at sharp price moves. Then some contracts are quietly settled in cash instead of metal. The gap between spot prices on a screen and the actual offers from dealers widens. It is like watching a bridge with hidden cracks. First, small weight limits are posted, then lanes close, and finally no one is allowed to cross. The unanswered question is timing. Will this break as a slow grind of more technical pauses and wider premiums, or as a single sharp event when too many players try to grab on the same limited pool of silver at once? In both cases, the pattern points to paper bending first and physical setting the real price. A closed silver window is not just a higher price on a chart. It is a change in who can protect themselves and who is left exposed. If spot sits at $60 or $80, while real coins and bars trade near $100, the number is less important than the message. Screens show one world, the physical market shows another. That gap is the point where trust in paper begins to slip. Stack the signals together. Vaults that once seemed full are losing registered metal. Banks in key countries have stepped back from selling to the public. Industrial demand keeps rising even as mine supply falls. Paper products promise easy exposure, yet their own documents admit they may pay cash instead of metal. Backwardation and rising premiums act like warning lights on a dashboard. No single light proves an accident is certain, but all of them flashing at once means the car should not be driven the same way. In past monetary breaks, most people only saw the pattern after the damage was done. By the time gold convertibility ended in 1971, the quiet run had already happened. By the time silver rules changed in 1980, the vaults were already stressed. If the current pattern in silver follows that same path, the true closing of the $100 window will not be announced. It will be discovered, one denial of delivery and one out of stock notice at a time.